Welcome back to another video. We haven't done one of these vlogs in a while. So basically we create content, for brands. That's what we do a lot of, besides for working with, normal people on a day-to-day basis. Let me just show you what these look like before we show you in the real world photo shoot. So check this out. So what do you guys think? Pretty sick, right? The Skechers and LA Gear collab is pretty awesome, and there's obviously not a lot of content on it around yet, and this is obviously why we're creating content for Skechers. I'll try and do a little bit of a behind the scenes, see what we're doing, maybe show you some like, kind of how we pose it, the idea behind it and everything, and make it as interesting as we can. And if you do enjoy this content, please hit the like button, subscribe, and we're going to be doing a whole lot more of these photo missions. Some are going to be super cool. You ready? Mm-hmm. I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's do it. Okay, so we're here, and it's a bit of an old tennis court, but it actually looks quite cool. So grey pants, pink top, white shoes with some pink piping in. Basically we're going to do quite a bit of photos here, and then I'm going to slowly do one or two video clips. So while I'm actually doing the photos, I'll show you the video clips. How good does she look? She looks good. Right, so I'm actually shooting this with, there's a school nearby, so
nearby, next door.
Next door. I'll try and speak loud so that you just hear my voice. So I'm shooting with the 70-200. This is actually the Tamron. We generally shoot with the Nikon 70-200 at night because its focusing capabilities are much faster at night with the Nikon D800. So the idea of this is kind of to get a nice long distance background, so when you're doing product shots, to kind of make the subject pop a lot more. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start off using this kind of scene along this fence right over here with some greenery in the background, and I'm going to go quite far that way, and you'll see there's quite a distance. I like to shoot close to 200. So yeah, I'm gonna get Michelle to stand over here. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm doing on my side. So this is literally the distance that I would generally keep. So yeah, I can get some of her feet in that in. I generally go quite low down, so you're gonna see me lying on the ground a lot. So yeah, let's do this. So now that I've got some fence shots, I'm going to have her stand here just on the flat ground and get some close-ups, like kind of just of the shoes and literally the ankles. So less lifestyle, more like pure product. Alright, so we're going to have Michelle sit up against the net here, and I'm probably going to get a couple of shots alongside the net. So I'm going to go right up against the net over here. We don't have someone filming, so you can't have someone film me and her. So you're going to have some static shots with the B-roll in between. I'm going to get her to use her hands, like move it on her body, and you'll kind of see that as it goes with some shots in between. So check this out. Sweet, so we're going to get her to change quickly, and then we'll show you the next one. Alright, so for the next one, Michelle's got some white and yellow LA Gear sneakers. She's wearing white and yellow as well over there. She's sitting on that step just so we can get some seated shots, like I said, so you can see, full body against the shoes as well. So these are obviously a little bit more lifestyle related. having a full body. Like there's a person to the shoe, which a lot of brands like. So I'm going to get it to pose in a few different ways, and you guys can watch it from here. Check this out. I'm going to get a shot from that side, sideways on Michelle, because obviously she's looking directly into the sun. So by keeping your light source in the same place and just moving the camera around the subject, you're actually changing the light on the subject from your point of view. I'll post 2 shots at the end of this little piece so you can see what I mean with the light source. How the same light source, same subject in the same spot, but just moving around with the camera changes the light source. It's actually something that we do in wedding, in getting ready rooms or in the reception when we set up light stands with flashes wirelessly. We move around those and we utilize the flashes in the points that they are based on our subject. So here we go. Okay, so next spot we're going to go back to the net over there on the tennis court, and then the last outfit we're going to head over to a different location. Yeah, they like it. Okay, so to change the lighting scene up a little bit, we're not going to set up light here because it's going to take too much time for this specific project, and we're going to actually use the sun as a rim light, and obviously the photos will just kind of be lifted in the shadows. And one thing that you probably haven't heard yet, I'm going to take you through some editing of these actual images just now, and you can see 1 or 2 of them or 3 of them or 4 of them being edited. So we're going to shoot this a little bit darker so we can lift out the shadows in the front so it kind of looks like it's more properly exposed. Here we go. Michelle is just finishing changing. She's on her way, and we were going to do it on these white benches that are over there on the grass, but the problem is with these white benches is that there's grass underneath it. We're not using strobes or flashes over here in soft boxes, so that green from the grass kind of reflects on the face, whereas here we've got a brown surface. And she's in the shade here because the sun's on that side of the wall, so the light here actually looks pretty cool. Now she is wearing blue glasses, as you can see. So what we're going to do in Photoshop, I don't think I could do it in the video. I probably could do it in the video with a ton of effort, which I'm probably not going to do, but for a couple of photos I'll actually show you guys how to do it, where you can take them and make them either purple or green to kind of match the outfit. So we're going to put it up against this wall, and we're going to shoot it all up against this wall, and then yeah, I think it's going to look pretty cool. So now that we've got some full body shots of her, and you can kind of see the whole outfit, if I could put it that way, and obviously the whole outfit is not a Skechers or LA outfit, but it's just lifestyle, we can now get some cool photos of just the shoes, like I said just now. So there's a little bit more product orientated, and a little bit more close up and personal, a little bit of lifestyle, whole body, and just some pictures of the shoes itself. Done here with the photos, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you how we edit some of these and make them look a little bit more poppy and a little bit more creative. So we'll skip the whole traveling home part, and the next part you're going to see is the office. Did you have fun? Good. Alright, so straight into the office, get some editing on this. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I'd edit 5 or 6 images, kind of just talk you through it, and you're going to see everything on screen as I edit it. So let me show you. So the first image is the shot of Michelle, and as you can see here, the shot looks pretty much good to go. This is unedited obviously, and what I'm going to do is if I pull down these highlights, majority of the time I'm going to be looking at the shoes. So if I pull down these highlights over here, you can see that the shoes kind of do actually, it works out perfect. So I'm going to pull these highlights down, and that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to reframe the shot though, and make it a little bit tighter, have Michelle a little bit more in the center. I don't mind recropping to ratio, because we shoot with a Nikon D800. You've got 36 megapixels to play with, so it actually works out great. One thing that happens when you pull down highlights, same as a wedding dress on white, you'll see that it goes very blue like that. So if I'm looking at the shoes over here, I'm going to zoom into the shoes for you. You can watch, this is how it was, and if I pull down the blues on the right, the saturation, you can have a look, and you kind of just get that nice clean white look. You just check the rest of the image, nothing gets damaged, and you're good to go. So I'm going to lift the shadows on this as well as the exposure just a bit, not to blow out those shoes. And if I do, I'm going to go back, up the contrast just a tad, drop the blacks. I'm going to make those greens pop in the background. And then we're going to head back down to the shoes. I'm going to take my brush. I'm going to select a preset that I've got is Rich Sharpen. I'm going to pull the highlights back on my preset. I'm going to show you what's going to happen over here. Just rub it over the shoe. And just pull down that exposure just a bit. Right, so when it comes to things like this and this type of content, one thing that I want you to remember the whole time is that this isn't content for billboards. This is content that is actually for, you know, social media. So it's fast, clean content that they just kind of need to push out there. So never look at shots like this and, you know, do an overproduction of. It's not worth it. No one's worried about, you know, the most perfect specific studio shot when it comes to social media content, because the content ages. Once it's up there, seen for today, it keeps going down the so once the content is up there, it just keeps going down the feed, and really no one really cares where it's gone after that, as long as it looks good for that time being. So I'm going to zoom into her face a bit. I'm going to get my Rich Sharpen again. I'm going to make her eyes pop just a little bit, and then I'm actually just going to take this and I'm going to drop the texture. Actually, I've got a Rich Soften Skin over here. It's my preset on softening skin. You'll see it just does a bit, and I'm just going to rub it over the skin just a bit to create that softness. Like I said, this is a full body shot. This isn't a glamour shot for makeup, so you don't have to be too careful on it, as long as the shot looks good and you've softened the right pieces. And looking at that, looks pretty good. So here's a before and after. It's before, after, huge difference. Right, moving on to the next image. So I shot this one dark so I don't blow out the highlights, because obviously blowing out the highlights on a shot like this would be the worst, because it is just of the shoe. So this is a product shot of a shoe, so yeah, you kind of need the shoe to look really good. So if I lift up the shadows and the exposure, we can pull a little bit more out, drop those highlights, contrast, warm the shot up just a bit. One thing that I do when I do finer adjustments, I actually use my up and down arrow on my keyboard. So if you hover over the temperature and you up and down arrow, it'll actually move it just a bit. And that looks pretty good. If I go back down to the blues, the saturation, and I pull down that blue saturation, you can see immediately. I wouldn't suggest pulling it all the way down because it gets a very flat look, but you don't want it to be blue. So kind of halfway between, you know, I'd say minus 50, somewhere there, and you're good. I just want to pull down the orange to have a look here. Actually looks quite sick if you pull down the orange. Kind of looks like it's on a road, a totally different shot. Matches with the grey pants. So both kind of look nice. I mean, two minds here. I really actually don't know which one looks better. Do you go orange or grey? I think a lot of people watching this are going to feel, you know, you're on either side of the fence here. Do you go orange or not? I like them both. You know what? I don't know. You know what? For editing purposes, let's take that orange out. Let's just do that. We'll make those greens pop a bit more. I'm going to take my brush over here and I'm going to go to Rich Sharpen. And I'm just going to leave a little bit of clarity, add a bit of exposure, shadows, a little bit of yellow and green. And this is a little trick to getting your background to pop a bit more. And I just kind of rub it over the trees and the things at the back here, where I want that green to stand out a bit more. Right, hit done. Before, after, zoom in a bit here. I mean, you can see how clear this is on the actual shoe. And then I'm going to hit Rich Sharpen again. And I'm just going to sharpen up that LA Gear Skechers. I don't want to over sharpen it. I don't want to do it too much. And there's just certain areas of the shoe that you want it to pop. You don't want to like overdo it. You'll see the difference now when I zoom out, what's actually going to happen. So hit done, go back, and now if I before and after, it just adds that like extra pop, but it doesn't look like it's overdone. Right, next image. So this is Michelle sitting down. This is more lifestyle, so the shoes are a little bit out of focus here because I've shot it at probably like f3.5, somewhere there. What are we at? f3.5. So drop the highlights obviously right down. There we go, brings out all that detail in the shoe. There's a bit too much blue in there again. Drop that saturation down to about minus 50. Oh, look at that difference, even the pants. Awesome stuff. Now we're going to lift the shadows, a little bit of the exposure, and then to kind of bring all of that into contrast again and bring in your blacks, you just up the contrast and you deepen the blacks. And then I think we are almost good. Let's just before and after. Wow, that looks pretty awesome. I'm going to make the greens pop again just a bit. Okay, and then I'm going to recrop this just a little bit, straighten it a bit and crop it a little bit tighter and a bit more onto the fence as well. So she's kind of just going into that rule of thirds by her face, and the shoes are almost on the same side. I'm going to zoom into the shoes here. Like I said, they're not going to be perfectly sharp because it's a lifestyle shot. I'm going to hit the rich sharpen, and I'm going to drop my exposure and my highlights just to bring back a little bit more on the shoe. Okay, this is a bit much, but I'm going to show you now what we're going to do, because you're going to see it's going to start going blue again. So let's just rub it over the shoe. One way I like to check, I don't like going all the way down to the mask overlay. I just hit my exposure all the way down. And because I use a feathered tool, which is on full feathered, I really don't have to worry too much about getting it perfect, because you're not going to see this major contrast difference. Okay, then I'm going to hit option over here and option on the Mac. It's going to hit a minus, and then I can feather it back out on that so that there's no overlapping, and if there is, it's so minimal. Okay, I'm going to zero my exposure, double tap, and then let's just bring it down a bit. That looks pretty cool. Hit done, go back, before and after. Wow, man, what a difference. Okay, I'm going to go into her face, and I'm going to just go rich softened skin. You're probably going to hear my Mac starting to overheat a bit here, so I'm just going to force quit a few things. So if you're picking up the Mac sound across the mic, I'm really sorry. It's going to start heating up because we're adding exposure and everything to it. Sharpening and luminance, the whole lot. Right. Go back to that image before and after. Great stuff. Okay, so this specific image of Michelle, it's a little bit warmer obviously compared to the others, and one thing I don't like is this pole. It's leaning a bit over, so if I go to crop and I recrop this and I go dead straight, you're going to see this pole seems to be leaning out. So if you scroll down to the bottom and on your transform you hit auto, it'll straighten those poles a bit once you've cropped it, and then they should be a lot better than what it was. And yeah, we're good. That looks a lot better. You could play around and fix it a lot more, but like I say, this type of content, it's fast. You're not going to go spend 55 minutes or an hour on an image. It's just ridiculous. I'm going to cool it down a bit, the shot, right, and bring back those highlights. I don't want to bring it too back because it goes a bit funny on Michelle's face. I'm going to hit my brush tool over here, go down to rich sharpen again. I'm going to sharpen up the shoes, drop the highlights, zoom into the shoes, and okay, this is way too much on the exposure, but at least we can see where we're brushing and what we're doing. Nice feathered tool, so any overlapping you're not going to see. Remember how a feathered tool works. The inner circle almost means 100%, if you want to look at it like that, and the outer circle means 0%. So you just need to picture how your feather roll-off would appear from center to full outside, and then just use that as a guideline. Alright, so now you can obviously see that the exposure on the highlights is too much, so I'm going to zero my exposure. Looks a lot better. And I'm actually going to warm the shoes up just a bit just to get rid of that yellow, because I don't want to take all the blue out of the whole image because there's quite a bit of blue in it. And do just a little. Okay, let's make that green pop and that yellow pop. Wow, that looks pretty darn awesome. Okay, so here's a before and an after. Way better. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom into Michelle, and I'm just going to take out where she burnt herself in the oven, where I don't know what happened over there, that little mark, and those marks are gone. We're going to hit down to rich softened skin on your adjustment brush tool, and I'm going to just lightly smooth the skin. This softened skin preset that I have made for myself on the adjustment brush is so minimal, and it's just enough to see so that if you do overlap edges on a fully feathered tool, you don't really see anything, and it works awesome. The only time that you got to be careful is on the face, and this looks pretty awesome. So much better. So here we go, you got professional fast content. Move to the next one. Now this is that part in the video where I mentioned how just moving the camera around I can change my light source. So light source was straight on from the front. Moving over here, you've got like a nice split light. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go over to this image. I'm going to say Command C to copy. I'm going to check all, and then I'm going to take off all the local adjustment brush as well as spot removal. There we go. And I'm going to say copy, head back over to this image, and I'm going to paste them on there. Just going to straighten this up again. Because we've got these bars, it's going to help as well. Okay, and then I'm just going to go back. It's just so that I can get the color the same. And I don't actually like this shot too much, but you know what, for this specific purpose, so I'm not going to go too deep into it because I don't really like it. So just to kind of give you an idea of, you know, the different look. So I don't like the shot. Have no idea what happened there. Let's just get rid of that shot. So this is just of the shoes, obviously. Pull the highlights back. Pretty cool. Up the shadows, contrast, down on the blacks. I'm going to crop it a little bit tighter because I was shooting with the 70 to 200 here. It's not the easiest thing, you know, when you're trying to get something in the foreground. So I'm going to leave a little bit of negative space here and there. And I'm just going to, if I don't go below Michelle's knee, it's going to look a bit weird. Cause there we go. And this line on Michelle's leg here is actually from the pants that she was wearing beforehand, the long pants. So by using spot removal, drag down there, bring it over to this side where there's texture. Done. Right, now I'm going to go back to my soften skin tool on the local adjustment brush and just soften the skin. I personally do not like softening skin a lot. I don't like softening skin at all on people. To me it's very, very fake. I can understand if it's in a magazine or a specific, you know, shot that's going to be printed out on a billboard or a shop window. I completely understand because that's the concept that the people are looking for, and also when it's blown up massively huge, obviously you're just going to see texture of skin, and sometimes it just deters from the product. So like I said, this is completely feathered, 100% feathered. So let's just brush this in and see where we're going, and I'm going to show you a little trick. Right, so I'm going to just Command, what is that? Option, and reverse that, zero my exposure. Now if you look at that and we had to, you know, go back and forward, you can see the difference in the softening of the skin. And if you wanted to double it up, you can literally right click on it, say duplicate, and now you'd have two of those applied. So now the skin is super soft. Personally, I don't like it too soft, but it is what it is in the shot, and it still looks okay. Go down to the saturation. I don't know if there's blue in the shoe. Oh, it is blue. It almost looks like there's blue and aqua. Yeah, there's a lot of aqua, but we don't want to take too much off the tennis court. So drop those blues, pop the yellow. Is it? Yeah, the yellow's in the tennis court too. So yellow and green, just a bit. I'm going to take my local adjustment brush, hit sharpen, and then I'm also going to add some color to it by using the tint as well as the yellow. So I don't like the yellow too much, so just the tint. Yeah, just put some green in it and then just slightly get it back in that court. Then I'm going to hold option, so it's going to remove it. I'm going to max this out to a pretty large size and just move it over this image just a bit to feather that green away. So you got the green in the foreground, and then obviously the shoes right over there. So those shoes look good just as is. Okay, next image, and the last one as well. Now this one's going to be pretty cool. So I'm going to just crop it a little bit tighter, straighten it. We're going to pull back these highlights. Awesome. Now the shoes are coming right back. Lift up the shadows. And yeah. Oh, this is looking good with a little bit of contrast. I actually like this. So let's just attend to the shoes first. It seems to be very sharp on Michelle and not so sharp on the bottom. And the reason for that is a lot of the lenses aren't too sharp on the end. It's actually because it's further away from the center of the sensor. One of the real reasons why you shouldn't focus and recompose. So a little bit of sharpness, drop back the highlights and the exposure, a little bit of warmth in it so we don't have to ruin all the blue in the image. Maybe too much warmth. See, they're starting to go yellow and we want them white, so let's just brush over it so it's even. Perfect. Okay, now if you look at the pink in those laces that are at the top, that's also on that side of the shoe over there. We're going to go into Michelle's glasses over here. We're going to take a local adjustment brush, leave the sharpness. We're going to add some super tint to it. And if this doesn't work, so it's going blue, right? You can zero that. There's a little trick. At the bottom over here, you've got a little color box, and you can go and you can actually select that pink, and it's a bit more to the orange side there. Now when you brush, you can see it's already changed. Come on, let's go. There we go. You can get this nice like pink out of it, and a lot of it gets affected when you start adding, you know, exposure and contrast and saturation. So to get that saturation up, the saturations, oh, this one's actually working when we take the saturation down. Right, so we're going to take saturation down, brush over there. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more, 3:1. Wow, we super far in. Okay, so I'm just going to rub over this pretty rough, and then I'm going to show you how I neaten it up afterwards. Now I'm going to hold in Option, which is the remove side, make the brush a bit small so my edge is a bit finer, and I'm just going to rub back on these glasses. Okay, that looks pretty decent. No one's going to see it on a full shot like that except us. Hit done, go back and check that out. Last thing to do, soften the skin. And there we go. Man, that's cool. So before, after, before, after. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This photo mission was the first photo mission. We've got some really cool ones with some different styles of flash, dragging shutters, keeping it open, other projects. So a lot of it has been lined up already that we're going to do, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. So please smash the thumbs up button. I know these videos are a little bit longer than usual, but a lot of people ask us, please make your videos longer. And yeah, if that's what you're into, thanks very much. So wherever you are in the world, have a good day, good evening, good night. Goodbye.